This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I are going to take a look at a number of issues that face each and every one of us. During the latter part of our show today, we're going to take a look at corporate America as it pertains to health. And that's really interesting because corporate America is starting wellness programs for their employees to increase productivity and to extend the lives of their employees. And speaking of extending your life, what about looking good? We have sitting right next to me, Dr. Francis Palmer. He's a retired plastic surgeon, and he's going to help us knock off a decade or so of our life. Well, not knock off. We don't want to decrease our lives. We want to knock off the look and be healthier. Doctor, welcome back to Late Night Health.
Hey, hi, Mike. How are you? Thanks for having me back. No, we're not going to knock off anybody.
No knockoffs. No knockoffs.
No knockoffs.
No. Okay. When we talked last time, I'd just like to do a short recap. There's the chronological age, which we will not talk about, and the cellular age of a person. What's the difference?
Well, the chronological age is how old you are by the calendar, right? You take today's date, subtract your birth date. That's what that is. The biological age is at what age your cellular and biological functionings are operating. And so this adds credence to the old saying, 60 is the new 40, 40 is the new 20. We hear that all the time. What does that really mean? Well, that means a 60-year-old, in my opinion, it means a 60-year-old has biological and cellular functions that are at a 40-year-old level. Clearly something we want to strive for, where the reverse would be not good, right? A 40-year-old has a biological age in the 60s.
But we know a lot of people, I know I do, who are 40 who act and look 60, or 60 and they look 80.
Well, that's right. And that's why this is coming to the forefront now. And I listened to your promo. And as a chief medical officer, I could tell you that corporate America is paying attention. But there's one other reason that I'll be so bold as to add, is that they're looking at a healthier workforce is not only more productive, it vastly decreases their healthcare costs if they're insuring them. So that's a major reason also. But this is something where people really should know that this is going on. And there's ways that you can measure biological age. And there's also things that you can do to impact it. And I think it starts with knowing what it is. And then things like the supplement we want to talk about that have been shown to reduce it by almost a decade. These are things that people really should consider.
You said something that resonates with me, and that is by keeping somebody healthy, you reduce the cost of health care. Why can't we get Medicare to do that?
Well, I think it's a step process. So I've been involved for 30 years in developing medical devices, all sorts of products for biopharma companies. And I think it first starts by getting the work done. And then you have to meet a threshold for everything. And the more stringent it is, like Medicare, all of those things, you have to have a huge body of real world data. So the first stage is discover what works, right? So we're jumping ahead, but we're going to talk about Rejuvant, Rejuvant, which is a proprietary blend of calcium AKG shown through a study published in Aging to reduce biological age. But after people took it for 7 months, it reduced their biological age over 8 years on average, which is almost a decade. They made 0 lifestyle changes.
Wow. Now,
0.
would that be something that would manifest, if you will, physically, mentally?
Yes. And so to tie this in real quickly, we're talking about biological age, why it's important that yours is younger, and how do you find out? You can do a saliva-based test. You can also do blood tests. You send it away. It'll give you your biological age. It does so by measuring the amount of DNA methylation patterns. And in that way, it's tied to your biological age. So that becomes the beginning. You then can do things like take the Rejuven and measure the endpoint and see if your biological age has reduced. And that, in that case, it did. But you will feel physiological improvements in energy and I call it focused energy.
I want to take a bath in it.
I'm not sure a bath will be helpful, but the right amount's probably the right thing, right?
Exactly. You know, as we age, there are certain diseases that pop up. Diabetes is one, prostate issues for men, and cancer is a third.
Yeah, so AKG is an interesting molecule. It's been around for over 40 years. It was discovered by bodybuilders because it helped their muscles recover from workouts. But this specific formula was shown through 7-8 years of testing to be the most effective version. And again, it's only available at rejuven.com. And I think that's kind of where the focus needs to be. The AKG has been tested in all kinds of studies and will continue in its role, how to regulate the expression of genes to do so, to prevent and eliminate some of the things that you mentioned. All of those are being looked at.
You know, as a plastic surgeon, your job was to help make people look younger. As your position now with Rejuven, your job is to make them feel younger and be healthier.
Yeah, and you know, it's not that different. I've been doing development for 30 years, but I would have 60-year-olds come in. I'd make them look 35 or 40, but they still needed to feel that to make the whole package complete, right? So the book I wrote called "What's Your Number?" It's basically a thought process to let people become best versions of themselves, both inside and out, with the realization, if you change the way that you look, you'll change the way that you feel. If you change the way you feel, you change the way you look, and you simply cannot separate the two. So both require your attention.
Is it important as we age to feel young? I mean,
well, I mean, yeah. So most people say, look, you know, longevity by itself is meaningless. Why would you want to live 150 and be decrepit and have in poor health? That would be terrible.
Yeah.
So the idea is to increase longevity, and you have optimal health, which is called health span, right up into the end of your life. You get sick, you die. It compresses morbidity, compresses the disease state, allows you to live a longer time in a more optimal state of health. I think that's what we all want.
You know, I have a friend whose mother was, I think, 103, and they would talk every night. And she called him up and said, Joe, please book a beauty shop appointment for me. Make sure I'm getting a manicure and a pedicure tomorrow. And he said, absolutely, Mom. And she hung up, went into bed, and she passed away. Mm-hmm. But he kept his promise. Mm-hmm. Beauty, hair, nails, did the whole works. And you know, that's the way I think we all want to go. We don't want to suffer. I mean, she was in her right mind. She was physically able. Betty White, mm-hmm. who recently passed away, just shy of 100 years. Yeah. I mean, she had plans for the next 10 years, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. We all want to have an improved health span. And that's why taking this Rejuven, REJUVANT, that would help improve health span as evidenced by the biological age. Biological age by itself is not the end point. It's a reflection of everything internally that's going on, right? Obviously.
Right.
So that's what the goal is. Whether longevity, which I believe with genetic manipulation will go to 150, 200 at some point. Again, you want to have optimal length of time that you're healthy during that to make that worthwhile.
Our guest is Dr. Francis Palmer. He's a retired plastic surgeon, a world-renowned board-certified plastic surgeon, and we are talking about Rejuven. right? Rejuvant.
Right.
And
Rejuvant, Rejuvant.
Rejuvant. And we'll come back and maybe the doctor will guess my physiological age. I'm not sure. And no, that's too scary. We won't do that. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Be sure to join us at latenighthealth.com. We'll be back.